Happy Wednesday. Hi, Bram, and hi, Arthur, and hi to all the audience that's out there listening to us. Thank you so much for coming and joining our weekly lives. We love them. We get an opportunity just to share what we've experienced during the week, or we get to share just what we've learnt over the week as well. Today, I want to talk about, actually, before I even start that, let me introduce my two amazing guests. I'm already excited and getting ready to get into it. You'll have to keep me under control today because the topic I want to talk about is I'm pretty passionate. I'm already getting into it. So welcome, Arthur. Arthur is a financial services entrepreneur and also an extremely successful financial advisor and owner of a dealer group in Melbourne, Spark Financial Services. So welcome, Arthur. And I've also got Bram, and Bram is also an amazing entrepreneur, an entrepreneur around sales and helps sales professionals make the most of their business. So welcome, Bram.
Thanks for having me.
I don't think I can pass talking about Bram being the muscles from Brussels. So welcome to you, Bram and Arthur.
We need a new nickname for you, mate.
That's it. I just need to do the power pose now, right?
I love that. I love that nickname. It suits you.
All right, let's keep going with it.
Okay. So today I'm really keen to talk about the importance of great leadership, great people leadership, okay? Not just because I'm running a program next week around leadership excellence, but more around what is the impact that we see when we have poor leaders and what is the impact when we have great leaders, okay? I work with lots of small businesses, medium businesses, and even large corporates. And, you know, the really great leaders absolutely stand out. They have this great team that is productive, that is engaged, that just follow. And then there's leaders that are either toxic or just haven't been shown how to actually be a great leader. And I remember reading some research not long ago that a poor leader costs a company $126,000 a year. $126,000 is and it could be more than that. Okay,
depends. I think that's very conservative.
That's
conservative. Yeah. Well, that I mean, if you think about a sales leader, if you've got a poor leader, then you've got staff that are disengaged, staff that are unproductive, staff that are unhappy, staff that actually have more sick leave than what they've ever had before,
and a revolving door.
And a revolving. Yeah.
Burn and burn. So that's costly.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And there's probably three causes that I see around poor leadership. Okay. And the first one is this lack of leadership skills and capability. We all know leaders that have been put into a leadership role because they're a great technician. Okay. They're a great financial planner, or they're a great accountant, or a great lender, or a great physiotherapist, or whatever it might be. And because they're great at that, they're like, well, your next progression is that leader. And I often find that they've never been taught the leadership skills. They've never been taught how to lead people. They're just great at what they do. The second one is lack of consistency and accountability. So lack of consistency, I mean, sometimes I'll coach you, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll engage you, sometimes I won't. And sometimes I'll coach you, but I won't hold you accountable. Okay, so there's this real inconsistency about, do I do something or don't I do it? And then there's a lack of confidence. You know, as a coach, I get to hear people's their deepest, darkest fears. And I often find that leaders say to me, I feel a bit unconfident. I'm not really sure whether I'm doing it right. I'm not really sure whether I'm good at this gig or not. So there's lack of leadership skills, capability, lack of consistency and accountability, and lack of confidence. They're the key causes that I see day in, day out around leadership. I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think.
You want to have a start, Arthur?
Why not?
Take some leadership there.
age before beauty.
Go ahead.
thank you, Kyle. It's a great topic. Yes, I've worked with great leaders and had the opportunity to learn and borrow. I won't say take from them. What was good and weave into my style. And I've also observed what I deemed poor leadership, and chosen to not adopt that style. But it's interesting. I think when you've got business owners, self-employed leaders, and then you've got leaders in organizations. So entrepreneurs and what the term intrapreneurs. Two very different skill sets. And the reality I learned that when I was working in large organizations is, despite as much of a great leader you wanted to be, there's always a cap in terms of why the team around you is there. And it's not always because of the leader, because they're there for other reasons, because it's a large organization, there's other perks, there's other benefits, but they would certainly look for another department to work for if they didn't enjoy your leadership. And I found that, to be a leader in corporate, you need a different set of skills, or a different, not always a level of skills, but a different application of skill versus leadership in being a small business owner, leading a smaller team that in a business you own. It's a very different set of skills and application, because in a smaller team, there is no escape. You'll leave the business if you don't enjoy your leader. Whereas in a larger organization, some people just stay where they are because they ultimately know that leader may move on because they're looking to progress. And so it's a different culture and a different dynamic that forms in those teams within organizations. But rest assured, in small business, if you don't have sound leadership skills, you won't be able to attract and grow, because you don't have a large brand that attracts employees. It's basically your name on the door. And, you can quickly build a reputation where people are like, no, stay away from that business. And you can't retain and you can't grow. So I think there's my input at this point is that there's leadership in large organizations that has a certain skill set. And then there's leaderships in smaller organizations and family-owned organizations that are totally different skill set as well. So I think that's important to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And I think you're right when you go, we know that people leave managers, not the company. They generally love the company, but they just actually don't like the leader.
Yeah, that's right.
Share with us your words of wisdom, Bram.
Well, I really like the point that you made about consistency. And as you and Arthur were talking, I was thinking consistency and leadership. Okay. And I was thinking hang on. I've seen leaders that are very consistent at what they do, but they were really bad leaders still. Because they're consistent at being bad leaders.
Yes.
Right? And so I think the consistency is still an interesting one, though. So what is it really that makes people consistent and being great? And the first example that comes to my mind is a leader that I had the pleasure with working with for 5.5 years as an employee, and he was my boss. And even till today, 11 years after I left the business, and I've been in my own business since, we even still touch in with each other every once a year, maybe 3 times a year, because we value the relationship. And this guy has given me so much. I feel indebted to him. So I think, if I look at from the experience of having this leader that I was working for, I think the thing that really, in my view, made him a great leader in a larger organization, such as you said, Arthur, this is a 1,100 staff sort of organization. So that's a sizable organization. The thing that he consistently had time for me. He consistently made time for me, even though he was super busy. I think the second thing is that he consistently showed genuine care, not because it was a strategic move, although there was that for sure. He was always there to support and kind of cheer us up and kind of applaud us in public if we needed it to. And I think consistently what meant also for him is that he always was there to build us, grow us, because he knew that he couldn't do it on his own. So he needed us in key roles, and he would give us everything we needed. I think those three things show consistency indeed, in a way that was designed to be great. Like I said, I have so much respect for this guy. I owe him basically my career now, because back in those days, I was already giving a lot of leeway to do training and development for our people in our organization. And yeah, I share with you, Kylie, that we're actually right now talking about doing some more work and consulting together, 11 years after I've left. And so wrapping this all up, I think really a great leader will keep great people, and he will make them great at performing. And I think that pretty much wraps my thing up for today.
Yeah, I agree. I was on a webinar the other day around the importance of empathetic leaders and the importance of empathy as a leadership skill over COVID. Okay, and there was some research that was saying that the more empathetic as a leader you were, the easier that your team got through the COVID crisis. And came out of the other side. And I remember doing some leadership programs around how to show empathy. What questions could you ask your team? What could you do that would show them that you actually do really care about them as the person, not just them as the role? I developed a scorecard, a leadership scorecard around how strong is your leader, how strong is your leadership. And I cover off on, I believe, the 5 essential strengths that all leaders need to have. And it's not just these 5 strengths, I'll point out. There's many more, but I think the 5 essential strengths that I see really great, strong leaders have is the ability to be a great communicator. So having really great communication skills. And Graham, I don't think I need to even say that you'd agree with that, because we know the importance of what you do around communication. The second one was planning and organising. Okay, their ability to be able to plan and organise not only their work, the team's work, the company's work, but, making sure that they were on track. Third one was problem solving and decision making. I've worked for a number of leaders where they just haven't been able to make decisions, or they struggle to problem solve. Fourth one was developing and coaching others. Okay. As a leader, that's just a non-negotiable. You need to be able to develop, train, support, and grow your staff. Okay, that is a core role of a leader.
Build them, yeah.
Build them, yeah. One of the most important things of a leader is to make sure we build more leaders. And then
by the way, it's an intrinsic motivator and a net reason why people love working where they work. It's one of the top, I think, 3, if they feel that they are being nurtured and developed over time and valued.
Yeah. And when you do coaching and development or training or support, asking your team what they need. Sometimes I hear leaders go, well, I don't want to spend time with them because they're already really successful. They don't probably need me, or they don't have time. Whereas my question to those leaders is, have you asked them what value you can add? Okay, because it might be something that's totally different than what you're actually thinking. And then the 5 one is around building relationships. Okay. As a leader, we know that we can't do this alone. We know that we need a team around us, a support network, a tribe around us. So they're the 5 strengths that I believe is essential for really great, strong leaders.
Sounds like I will have to do that leadership scorecard of yours.
Yeah, you will. Actually, let's pop it into the chat bar, actually. It only takes, is it good? Thank you. It takes 3 minutes, and it does rate you on those 5 leadership strengths and allows you to see where you sit and where you need to work and the things that you need to do to actually get there as well.
I think the other one as well, if I may add, Kylie. Sorry, were you going to add something else?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Tell me to get off my horse because I can't help it.
Self-awareness is, I think, probably step 0, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Awareness of yourself and your environment. I think that's an important part, because the more aware that you are of yourself, you can definitely then communicate more appropriately and steer. And one of the questions I always ask, any potential employees who are looking for a role within our organisation is, what do you actually look for in a leader? What brings the best out of you, and what leadership style does that? And so that's part of I guess the exploratory questions before we put on any stuff. But I totally agree with all the things that you both have said. Leaders, our success as leaders is the success of the sum of all parts. And rather than, I think the greatest leaders that I've worked for, everyone's self-motivated. It wouldn't be right to say that leaders are completely selfless. They say they are, but everyone's got their own motivation.
Yeah.
But it's about how to correctly position that with the people that you're trying to take on a journey, keep on the journey, and create that win-win throughout the whole journey. And there's equity in between that win-win that's consistent. I think that where that equity or that exchange between the relationship takes a different level of inconsistency, that's when you get detraction or frustration, because you are being inconsistent as a leader. So being consistently good at being consistent is very important to keep everyone engaged, because as a leader, if you don't understand that your team or group is the sum of your success is the sum of their success, and you communicate that clearly and you focus on everyone's individual success, then you end up with hopefully the outcome that you're looking for as a leader. The other interesting one as well was leading a certain group of people that didn't lead others and making that transition from leading leaders. That takes a different skill set as well. So I'm just kind of paint a picture. This is what I hope that your course looks out for, Kylie. It's leading in a larger environment where there's certain dynamics, leading in smaller environments where there's different dynamics, leading those that don't lead people, and then leading those that lead people.
Yeah.
Again, it's like another step change, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And you can't ultimately grow a business to the size that you may dream of unless you've got that skill where you lead leaders. Otherwise, it's just collapsed around you, isn't it? And you can't break free of scaling out, because you need to be able to track and grow leaders. So there's the different environments, and then there's the different levels.
Yeah, let me put it really simple, okay? There's 4 types of leaders. So you've got leading self. I'll sum up what you just said, okay?
Yeah.
Leading self.
Yep.
Leading others.
Yep.
Leading leaders.
Yep.
And leading organisations.
Yep.
Okay. And where does it sit within all of that? So they're the kind of four kind of tiers that you need to consider around leadership. But thanks for that transition. Let me tell you quickly, and then I'll ask Bram for any closing comments. Let me tell you quickly about the leadership program, because it starts next Thursday and there's only literally 2 spots left. I like to keep them small so everyone has an opportunity to ask questions, share some vulnerabilities, but also have some learnings and applying it on their job. So I run the program. It's run virtually. It's Leadership Excellence Program. It's run for 6 weeks. And it's run for only 90 minutes a week, okay? So I try and keep the sessions to be nice, short and sharp so that it doesn't take out an entire day out of the business, but it allows you to still continue to get some learning of you as a leader, okay? I cover for this particular program leadership topics, people leadership topics. So leadership topics around coaching for performance, managing underperformers, leading change the right way, how to empower staff to work autonomously, and also how to deal with challenging employees, okay? And challenging employees are people that are, that are toxic, Okay, people that are either talking at the water cooler the wrong way. So I cover topics that are relevant, people leadership topics. I provide tools, models, and frameworks that really support the growth and development of people leaders so that they can continue to lead themselves, lead others, lead leaders, and then lead that organisation. And it covers both just not only the corporates, but your smaller businesses as well. I've got a podiatrist that's looking to scale. So she's wanting to be the best leader she can in order to make sure she's got the right team around her. So please, I will pop the actual brochure into the chat bar. Please reach out to me and either give me a call or touch base with me via email. I'll pop that in the chat bar as well. And ask any questions. But I would love to have an extra 2 people on the program. So let me know. Any questions? Brahm, any closing remarks from you?
Well, Arthur touched on a great point, which is self-awareness. And I fully agree with you that people need to know where they stand, because a lot of people, look, there's kind of 2 really different spectrums that people can be on. They can be very, very extremely self-conscious, which means that they very often will be hypercritical of themselves and underestimate what they're capable of. And then on the other side, people will be, super self-confident, but actually be really blind to some weak spots that are sabotaging them in their leadership capability. And so wherever you might be, I think it's important that courageous leaders, they first take the first step, which is, where am I on my journey and where are my strengths and my opportunities for growth? And let me just face them for the facts the way they are. Not try to camouflage them, not to try to turn a blind eye to them. Really let's assess myself objectively and then do something about the things that I should be addressing to better serve as a leader. I think if you look at it that way, that leadership scorecard is a great way to do it. And there's a lot of other great tools that are all very helpful along the way, like 360 degrees feedback, emotional intelligence assessment, and so on and so forth, DISC assessment. There's a lot of value in sort of tools, but I think the first stepping stone would be that leadership scorecard. And of course, reach out to Kylie so that she can support you on your leadership journey.
Yeah. Thank you, Brahm. You make a good point. I'll just quickly close off. Leadership is a journey. It's not a destination. Just because you have the title doesn't mean you've hit it. You don't have no more room for development. Leadership, as people, we should continue to learn, develop, grow ourselves in order to be the best that we can for not only our staff, our peers, but also our family as well. So thank you so much.
You never learn enough of. You're always learning every day. And if you're not open to it, you shouldn't be a leader.
Yeah, agree. Absolutely. Yeah. As always, thank you so much. Love our time together on a Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. See you, everyone.
Have a good course. Cheers.
Thanks, see you, mate.